These are the match stats, much made of this game as we keep the conversation going with Jurgen Klinsmann and Stuart Robson. I want to start with you if we can, Robbo, because when you look at this, 16 wins this season in all competitions. So far, everybody's saying, OK, most of these wins not being tested too much, coming in the Bundesliga where they're head and shoulders above the rest. Well, now we looked at this game against the defending champions in the Champions League. It's PSG, and they win this game. So what have we learned about this version of Bayern?
Well, first of all, forget the stats you just saw there that PSG had 25 shots and Bayern Munich only had 9, because that was all in the second half. When it was 11 versus 11, Bayern Munich could have been 4 or 5 up. They completely dominated the play. They made the pitch look massive. PSG were all over the place defensively. They were giving the ball away in midfield. And Bayern Munich looked a really good side. They won the ball in good positions. They defended well from the back. The two centre-halves have got a really good partnership now, Tah and Upamecano. Lima was breaking forward down the right-hand side. Harry Kane was going short. You saw that little flick from Gnabry. He was making runs beyond Harry Kane at times. The two wide players were dominant. And they were by far and away a better side than PSG in that first half. And it was only when Diaz got sent off that the game changed and they hung on. But they still showed defensive solidity. The goalkeeper had a good game as well. But I think the two centre-halves were excellent in the second half. But overall, Bayern Munich look a very, very good side at the moment.
Yeah, Jurgen, what a big result that is for Bayern.
Yeah, it was a result kind of coming over a couple of months. Because Bayern Munich, if you look back a little bit at the end of last season, they didn't go into the Champions League final. They were kind of watching it in their own stadium, between PSG and Inter Milan. They got angry. They were, going to the Club World Cup, and then they had the game, the quarterfinal against Paris Saint-Germain in Atlanta. I was at that game when they lost then Musiala, in that incident there with Donnarumma, and they were very bitter. They were very, very bitter, and they started this season with an extreme hunger. They want to prove to the world that they are the best team in Europe, and they want to win titles this year. So they are very, very determined, and this is exactly how they played from the beginning on. I mean, they were dominating, they were creating their chances, they were putting Luis Diaz scored their two goals. I mean, Serge Gnabry almost got the third one. They could have been up, like Robbo said, 4 or 5 goals at halftime. Then, obviously, the red card of Luis Diaz changed the dynamics and made them then defend most of the second half, and Manuel Neuer stood his ground, and they won this game still. I mean, really deserved to win this game. But it's a Bayern Munich team that you see this season that under the command of Vincent Kompany, every single player knows exactly what his job is on the field. They're very determined, they're very sharp, they work as a team. There's one guy is helping the other. And it's at the moment, it really looks very, very difficult for any team playing Bayern Munich to beat them. It's impressive. It's very impressive.
Even with Luis Diaz down, we said we're going to judge them in the Champions League this season. We've just seen them up against PSG away from home as well, Ali, with a win.
Yeah, and we just got done talking about Real Madrid and lacking structure and organization and seemingly a game plan. Well, you watch Bayern Munich play, and you know exactly what they want to do and how they want to do it, and the role of each of the players and how they complement each other. The first half of Bayern Munich today, impressive, really impressive. Now, to your point, Kay, yeah, this was supposed to be the test. Oh, are you gonna go away from home at PSG, the European champions? Are you going to be able to do the same things that you've been doing so easily in Bundesliga? And the answer is, yeah, they're able to do it. And I'll tell you why. I thought that the advantage of PSG would be in the midfield with Fabian Ruiz, with Vitinha, Zaire Emery, or maybe if it is Joao Neves, and how they would be able to match up against Kimmich and Pavlovic. That Bayern Munich would be short in numbers, and that would force some of their attacking players to take more defensive positions and would limit them in the attack. Well, that would be the approach if you were afraid to play the way that you know how to play. And what this team under Vincent Kompany, what they do better than anybody else right now in this moment is they are pressing the ball higher up the field together. We talk about when we mention Barcelona, there's no pressure on the ball. There's pressure on the ball when you're playing against Bayern Munich. And the goals come from their ability to, hey, you just lost the ball, get under pressure again, regain possession of the ball, and we go on the attack. And it's not just one guy doing it, they're all doing it. It's not just Kylian Mbappe running by himself. No, Harry Kane goes and presses the ball, and here comes Luis Diaz, and there comes Michael Olise, and here's Serge Gnabry, and behind them is Kimmich and Pavlovic, and then the two center backs that Robo was talking about. Two center backs that, when it was Upamecano and Kim last year, it felt like both of them were good for a mistake at some point during the game, because you didn't know who was leading whom in this particular setup. Now it is clear to see that there's a common influence from Jonathan Tah, and that Upamecano is the guy that is going to run around. But Jonathan Tah is leading that line. And I could not get past this conversation when it comes to Bayern Munich. And I know it's not a player that is not featured in many of the conversations. But Konrad Laimer, he's not a right back. He's a midfielder player that has been converted into a right back. And he looks every bit of a right back that can get up and down the field, level of energy, committed to what his role is. You want to see what Bayern Munich is all about? Watch Konrad Laimer play and see how much he goes and presses the ball. He comes back and chases here, chases over there, wins the ball here, provides an assist there, crosses the ball over there. Bayern Munich are playing together. And the most exciting part, if you're a Bayern Munich fan, is what Vincent Kompany was doing after the game. Sprinting out to the field, to be with his players, to recognize that this sort of unity, this togetherness is what's going to allow this team to achieve big things this season. It's not so much beating Bayer Leverkusen 3-0 as they did so easily in the weekend. It's this, being able to struggle together through 45 minutes and still get a result against PSG away from home.
Yeah, you saw that with the 10 men, Steve. He's so committed, all fighting as a team to ensure that PSG couldn't find their way back.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I like the brains of the operation. You know, Kimmich and Kane, for me, in the middle of the park, are just the brains. And everybody around them's got the legs. But they follow the two of them. You know, Olise and Diaz on one side, they're just looking to Kane to set them up, to show them where to go, to play them in, to combine with them. And then you've got Kimmich in the middle of the park, who's just jostling everybody around them, playing nice little passes. I just think they've got a good mix. They've got a good mix of brain, particularly with Kimmich and Kane, and they've got legs around them. Just right now, unstoppable. Can
we get to Luis Diaz's sending off? It was obviously a decision that had been made. It was a red card, but it tore you a little bit when you were watching it.
I'm with Ali. I wouldn't have had a problem had it not been a red card. I think the referee has sent him off because he's left his feet. Because you can't watch that replay after replay and not think that Diaz is going for the ball. Because 100%, his eyes are only on the ball. He's not going with the old scissor chop, but he has left the ground. And I think that's why the referee sent him off. I would have been more than happy with a yellow.
So if that was the bad of Luis Diaz on the night, getting the red card, let's talk about the good if we can, and everything that he's bringing to this Bayern Munich side, Jurgen. He's just slotted in perfectly coming in this season. We saw it tonight.
Yeah, it's a real joy to watch this kid. I mean, he comes in there and he seems like he's always been with Bayern Munich over the last years. So he fitted. I mean, obviously, it's also the first year after Thomas Müller. I mean, Thomas Müller was kind of the brain up front there, you know, alongside Harry Kane the last 2 seasons. But coming in like Luis Diaz and then playing on this level right away, having this blind understanding with his teammates up front. It's just wonderful to watch. You know, he's such a creative player. You know, he can go straight for goal. He can dribble people. He can, you know, play with the other ones. He can switch sides if needed to. So it's very, very difficult to read for the opponents. So this is a huge positive for Bayern Munich to have a player like him now in the starting 11. And obviously they have a couple of kids also on the bench that maybe we didn't see today. But they are fully loaded on the bench as well, so they are ready to go for a long run in the Champions League this year.
Jurgen, before we move on from this game, we wanted to get your thoughts on Luis Enrique choosing to watch the first half as he has been from the stands to get a different perspective of the game. What do you think of that?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, if that gives him a better picture and also a better preparation for his halftime talk and see things that he wants to maybe change in the second half, it's totally fine. I think it's difficult for players then a little bit. You know, when you look outside, for me as a player, it was always important to have a bit of eye contact with my manager out there, and see, you know, his body language, see his influence, or hear it obviously on the sideline. If he chooses now to sit the first half up in the stand, then this kind of conversation or communication is not there. But maybe he sees the things that he wants to see first, and then he corrects it in the second half. It's a different approach.